Welcome to Inside Style, and I'm your host, George Worrell. As we kick off Women's History Month, I want to kick it off with two women who exemplify strength, brilliance, resilience, and purpose. Today, I am joined with the powerful mother-daughter team of ministry, Dr. Susie C. Owens and Pastor Kristel Woodhouse. We're talking about faith, legacy, leadership, and, of course, personal style. Welcome to Inside Style. This has been a dream for me. We go back so far.
Absolutely.
And the kindness that Bishop Owens, Archbishop Owens, and co-pastor Susie and Kristel Woodhouse have shown me, we talked about this earlier, that it's become full circle.
Full circle.
Full circle. I want to talk about being Black women in ministry and what it's like and what it was, what it is, what it feels like it's going to be. Let's start with you, Dr. Owens. How was it for you? You know, what was the calling? How did you feel to say, because I'm thinking when you started, there weren't many women that were called to do what you do. Take us down that journey.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. First, let me thank you for having myself and Chris with you. We certainly are delighted to be here and to share this moment with you. Yes, it was very difficult. I started preaching in the late 60s, 1960s, and of course there were not many platforms for women. And actually, I'm second generation female theologian. That's My mom was a pastor and a preacher, and so Chris has followed, and she can tell her journey and her story. So we kind of migrated into it, and of course, like I said, the opportunities were not there. But when you have a compelling expression from God that this is what you are supposed to do. And so then the passion reaches the personality and you're able to complete that calling on your life. And so I've had the awesome opportunity to mentor, to coach women along the journey. I think the thing that really inspired me was my mom said to me, well, if you're going to preach, if you have this vision of yourself preaching, then you're going to go to school. And so I think that was the thing that began to give me the foundation that I don't have to fight, I don't have to argue. I'm comfortable that I'm a female, and I'm comfortable that I'm a theologian. And so I worked toward that end. And the journey has been great. You know, I think, again, when you are comfortable, cliche, in your own skin, then there's no need.
But was that natural for you?
It was natural for me. My mom was the kind of social activist that told us you can do what you want to do, you can be who you want to be, and nobody can stop you.
Did you feel like that growing up?
So it was different for me. And so I experienced a lot of pressure, a lot of expectations. And so I was always comfortable in being who I am. And my parents always pushed me to be myself. But other people expected things of me that my parents didn't expect from me, and I didn't even expect from myself. And so I've been preaching too since I was 23 years old. I am 45 now. And so when I started, people had this expectation that I was going to mount the pulpit and sound like her. So what she was doing for 40 years, I had just started for 2 years. So that kind of pressure and expectation to kind of grow and develop and mature, I had to become comfortable, and even more so in being who I am and not who people wanted me to be or who they expected me to be.
Expected you to
And
be.
so that was a journey that I had to navigate through. And so even now with what ministry is, both my parents have retired. So 2 years they have been retired. And so people automatically assumed, oh, she's going to be the pastor. I didn't want to be the pastor. And so I made that very clear. I will always be in ministry. I will always be here. I will always support this work. But I am not called to be a senior pastor. And one of the reasons why I did not want to do it after prayer and, of course, counseling and talking through it, I love my family. And so I knew what that kind of pressure put on me. And so I did not want to put that kind of pressure or expectation on my children. Now, whatever God has for them, God will allow them to navigate through that. But I did not want that responsibility. I didn't want to be doing a sermon every weekend. I wanted to be at a basketball game, a track meet, a dance recital. I didn't want that kind of pressure. And I saw it.
Because
I
it's
lived
first.
through it. Yes,
It's
family
first.
is first. Exactly.
But if you go into ministry at that level, that's first.
No, but see, old school got it twisted.
Okay.
Right? New school, we got it all the way together. It's God first, family second, then ministry and church.
How did you navigate that?
Well, I think that I felt, and I guess Chris is here too. You know, we've talked about this off and on different platforms. I think that I made it a point, though I was in ministry, not to travel. So I wasn't all over the place. So when my children were younger, I did the DMV. I didn't take any engagements out of state. I didn't take anything out of the country. I felt that my first allegiance was to my children. So I stayed put. I think Chris was a teenager. She was about 15 or so before
you.
Yep, because I felt that my gift would make room for me at the proper time. And I think that's what women need to understand. God is a God of timing. And if we work with God's timing, everything falls in place. So when I started traveling all over the place, my kids were comfortable. My husband was comfortable. We had been married about 25 years. Bishop and I will celebrate 54 years of marriage in April. So there was a bond there. There was a foundation there. There was trust there. There was confidence there. So there was no need for anyone to feel that I was leaving them. They were left out. Blah, blah, blah. No, Mom had been to Girl Scout meetings. I had been to basketballs. I had been, fashion, whatever, Chris, whatever, Mookie, I was there. So they didn't have that. They didn't have that struggle.
Did you feel anything about the male component, about preaching? You were blessed that you had a partner that supported you. There are people, there are women that didn't have it, don't have it. Tell us about that experience.
Yeah. That was a real experience. Although my husband and our circle of ministry friends were very affirming, that was not the case in every situation. And unfortunately, it's still there. There is still a ceiling that women still have to, we're cracking it, but we have not broke it. And that is because of a whole lot of things. Culture, insecurity, and the list can go on and on. But what I did was I made it a point to always affirm males. And so when I was asked to do platforms where perhaps they were not as affirming as my church or whatever, they did not feel threatened by me. And I think that's a lesson that female theologians need to learn. You don't have to push. You don't have to fight, If it's a situation where they're not comfortable with you, you be comfortable with yourself. And always remember that God is not gender orientated. He don't see male or female. He sees vessels. And if you can keep that perspective, I've been in places when I went and the deacons or whoever would turn their back to me. And I'm in the pulpit. I've been in situations where I couldn't go in the pulpit.
I remember that story. You told that story
Yes.
that they didn't want you in the pulpit, and you preached in front.
I preached in front of the floor. But you know what was in the back of my mind? If there is a young girl or a woman here who feels that this is a journey that God is going to take them through, then let me be that light. Let me be that vision of what you can do, even in an awkward situation.
So coming from that, how are you able to implement that, the feeling, the past in your ministry, and how you're inspiring young women? Because that hasn't changed.
It hasn't, but I think we have become more aware, and we've become more self-aware. And so not just aware of, the opposite sex or the other gender, but we become more self-aware. So we can kind of, I don't want to dimmy myself down, but let me make room so that you understand there's space for you too. We don't have to compete. We're not in competition with one another. God is going to use you. God is going to use me. And, there is always somebody for everybody. So what I may be able to speak to and it resonates with somebody, the next person may not be able to do that. And so you understand that, your gift, it makes room for you between personality and style and presentation. All of those things matter. So somebody may not be able to hear me, but they'll be able to hear co-pastor, or they'll be able to hear you. And so I think that's important when we talk about the gospel, the message of the gospel, which is universal. Is
there a sisterhood? Do you think there's a sisterhood, not even just in ministry, with Black women, corporate ministry? You talked about competing.
Yeah.
Are we supporting?
Yeah.
Are we like, hey sis, listen, I heard my friend Gabby from New York, and we do workforce development. I'm on the fashion end of it, but she does returning citizens. And a Black woman told her about a contract, and she said it's due tomorrow. And she ended up getting that contract, and it's a large contract. These are stories I love to hear. This is where I came from, because all we had was us.
Yes.
You see what I mean? Like, it was all we had.
Yes.
So if we didn't tell each other something, we were out.
Yes.
So do you feel that still happening? And if not, what can we do corporately, women? Because it's Women's History Month. What are we doing corporately about our sisters and women on whole? What are your feelings about that?
Yeah, absolutely it exists. But you gotta find your tribe. You gotta find your squad.
Your people.
And once you do, once it clicks, you get it, right? Because that's just how we're set up to compete with one another, or to, even if you think in terms of motherhood and parenting, it's all this competition. But once you find your tribe and lock in, I'ma hold you down, and you gonna hold me down. If it's marriage, if it's ministry, if it's education, if it's career, if it's business, if it's opportunity. If I got it, it's yours. And so I think once you find that, like Cole talked about cracking the ceiling, we're soaring above the ceiling. Like, once you get your squad and your tribe locked in like that, somebody that will pray for you, somebody that will push you, somebody that will help you navigate through life's challenges and just the everyday nuances. Like, once you find your girl tribe, absolutely it exists.
Do you also believe that, for me, no is great, because you're not wasting my time, and I'm pushing. We met, I was at the door at Legal Seafoods in 1997. You know what I mean? And a friend brought me to Greater Mount Calvary, and I invited Bishop to come in, because I knew that I wanted to start generating business, right? And he said, my wife is from Boston. Bing! and you started coming in, but that started they don't call them Rolodexes anymore, but that started my Rolodex. Networking,
yes.
where I started my business maybe 5 years later.
Yeah.
But so how do you feel, what is it that motivates you still?
That's an excellent question. I'm going to piggyback a little bit on Chris. I'm a historical person. I like history. And so even in my preaching, Old Testament is one of my favorites because it's the history of how God presented himself to us as a person. And so I like history. And when I was an undergrad, I started looking at history. And when you look at history, Black women have always played a major part in the world, always. And as I researched it, I came across some women who were preachers, itinerant preachers. You had, Sophia Law. You had Amanda Berry Smith. You had Julia Foote. These were women who took the challenge to evangelize with no recognition. And they were important. So if women can find their purpose in what happened in the past, then we can take that and make a difference in the present and allow women to move forward in the future. And that is what I tried to do with Chris. I never said she had to preach. I never pushed her to anything like that. I wanted her to see the history of what African American women have done, what we are doing, and what we will continue to do. That is the legacy piece. How we interact with the generation in which we were born in and respect the generation that is coming behind us. I don't expect her to do what I did. I don't expect her to do it like I did it. I expect her to take what I did and go further with it and be herself, her authentic self. And that's how I mentor women, especially in ministry.
And we talked earlier, you were thinking about law. What was the turnaround?
Yeah, so, oh my gosh. So I did my undergrad in Atlanta, and I came home because I was on my way to Howard Law School. And I was going to go to law school, be a student full-time. And my dad said, I think your mom needs an assistant. You'll be home. You'll be here, at school. Why don't you sort of help her out, manage her books, manage her dates? And so I said, does that mean working at the church? And he said, yeah. So I said, okay, wait a minute, because if I'm going to work at the church, I need to know more about the church. Now, I was raised in the church. So I switched out all my law school stuff and applied to divinity school. And my whole life's trajectory changed. And I have been on the ministry side. And the Lord told me, he said, if you take care of my stuff, I promise you, I will take care of yours. And I have been about my Father's business spiritually and naturally ever since. And so I am grateful. I'm grateful for my journey. I am grateful for, I tell my parents all the time, y'all birthed me and built me all at the same time. So I am grateful for lessons learned. I am grateful for challenges that I've overcome. I am grateful for the blessings. And so it's been good. It's been good. I know some people take a long time to kind of find their way, right? And it's not that I knew my way. I still had to find my way. And so with my generation, which is Gen X, right? We are in a position now for the millennials, Gen Zs, the alphas. Like with my daughter, like she had to struggle through and find her way. I had to struggle through and find my way. And then like my daughter, she is everything she want to know about the church. Like even today, I'm like, oh, we're going to do a podcast. What do you want to say? Oh, just like women and ministry, like all the girl stuff and all that. But she was like, oh, okay. So even with the younger generation, just allowing them to see how somebody else's struggle and setback is a stepping stone for you. Mm-hmm. And so what she went through helped me to become more comfortable in my role, and what I'm enduring is allowing others to become more comfortable in their role.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about personal style and how it's changed, because my parents are from North Carolina, and I grew up Baptist, but my grandparents were apostolic.
Oh.
So my grandmother didn't wear short sleeves. She didn't wear makeup. I remember somebody gifted her a dress and it was short sleeve, and she had a blouse under it. Yeah.
Oh, they took material and sewed
So
it.
sewed it up. I was like, that's my style. She's like, she just, below the knee, all of those things. You've always been very stylish. How did you have to navigate, that the faith part and being able to be yourself in style?
Faith and fashion.
Faith and fashion.
That's another what is it? Trick of the trade. And I think what I did was I went through this whole thing: no makeup, no nail polish, none of that. And when I went to Bible college before I came to Howard, I studied the Word of God. And so when I would come back home to my home church in Boston, and the mothers were there, I would say, but I didn't see that. I didn't see where you couldn't wear makeup. I didn't see where you couldn't wear nail polish. I said I saw where it had to be modest, but I didn't see where it said no. And so they put up with me. So they would say, oh, leave her alone.
Okay.
She saved, she loved God. So I think each journey with each generation opens the door just a little wider. And again, we crack that ceiling a little more. I think the thing to do, and what I did, I can speak for myself, I tried to make my fashion meet the occasion. And so I may change it for this occasion and change it for that occasion. I'll give a very simple example. I went to a church, a conference that was being held in Virginia, very large conference, and me and my attendant, Novia Davis, was with me. We were there, and when we got there, we were getting out of the car, I noticed that nobody had on any earrings. So, and I had these cute earrings, and I'm looking. I said, I'm just going to make sure. So I'm looking. I said, Novi, nobody has on any earrings. So we said, you coughed, and we slipped those earrings off, because I want what I'm going to say to be accepted, and I don't want anything I have on to come between what the Lord may use me to say.
And people are focused on
those. So I think, again, you make the fashion fit the occasion. I mean, so go back in the car, put your earrings on. Earrings ain't going nowhere, And churches even now where they may be a little whatever about pants, well, put on a skirt. The next place you go to may accept women in slacks or that particular fashion, because fashion changes as seasons change. And so as we grow up in these kinds of things, and we become more historical with Scripture. So early on, we just told the story. Now we examine the story. Okay, Moses crossed the Red Sea. How? What is the Red Sea? And the young ones just Google it while you're trying to figure it out and say amen. They done Google where the Red Sea is, how big the Red Sea is. And so, again, we have to be able to live within the ramifications of the generations we're living without condemning and without putting pressure on them to do it. I'm a baby boomer. To do it like we did it. Do it like God has given it to you. It's the gospel message. And so I think we have to do that. Just make your faith and your fashion fit the occasion.
How do you feel about it?
Yeah, I feel the same. I do believe that the Holy Spirit will sort of convict and sort of like if something is inappropriate or allow you to feel uncomfortable in any way. I did a session a couple of months ago with some of the young adults. In our church, and they wanted me to come and talk to some of the young adults. You know, this new generation. So I'm kind of trying to explain to them like, you got some students from, you know, the different universities or what have you. They don't know. They didn't have anybody to tell them what a slip was or what shapewear was and what that looked like, you know, when you're in a bodycon type dress or something like that, and that might not be appropriate for every setting. And so they wanted me to do this this session, and so I had to make sure that I had a lot of grace. Because you know you don't want to be offensive, so I sort of asked them, you know, like you know, what trend sort of represents you? And so they went through all these trends, and I realized that I didn't even ask myself the question. And so I was like, oh my goodness, y'all, I don't know what trend represents me. And one person stood up and they said, you know what, Pastor Kristel, because you are the trend. And I said, you know what? I get it. And what my mother would say to me is, Kristel, you make your clothes. Your clothes don't make you. And so I think that speaks to occasion, how you represent, how you show up, how you represent yourself. And so I think, like we always talk about faith and fashion, right? Because yes, we're ministers. We love the Lord, but I mean, we're gonna get a sew-in. We're gonna put a wig on. We're gonna get full face. Yeah. You know, we're gonna do that because I believe not only do we represent ourselves, but we represent God too. We represent God too, and so I think that some people will see us. I know I am always amazed when people be like, "You're a what?" Like we go to hospital visits, and I always have to have my clergy card because security is like,
Mary in the house.
Yes.
So I love it, and you know, as we come to a close, you got to come back.
Oh,
you got to come back because we're going to have part 2 of this. And I want you to break Bishop. We'll put him in the middle. We'll put him over here. They have his own spot. But I know you're going to be at a large conference that you want to tell us about.
Oh, yeah. Thank you so much. I've been working on this conference for a couple of years, and it's in October the 22nd through the 24th. It's the end of the year. And it's CORE Women's Conference, CORE, C-O-R-E, Conquering, Overcoming, Reclaiming Everything. And we put that together because we're coming to the end of 2026 so that women can reflect back on what happened in 2026, get some strength, and then proceed into 2027. So it's all virtual. Okay. So you can go to my website or whatever, Susie C Owens.org. Get everything you want. Register. Love to have you. It's going to be amazing. And you're going to be able to get some tidbits on how to proceed into 2027 after all you have been through and experienced in 2026.
Wonderful. If people want to get in contact with you, how will we do it on social media?
Yes, absolutely. I am on all socials at Kris Woodhouse, KrisWoodhouse, at Kris Woodhouse.
I love it. Dr. Owens, Pastor Woodhouse, thank you for your wisdom and your leadership. You know, I go on and I say some trust in horses and some trust in chariots. Yeah, I always do the caveat. Yes. I'll save the rest for you, but I thank you so much for coming on and all that you do for women and men in the DMV and in the world. Thank you so much. Please reach out to these dynamic women. I thank you for the viewing audience that have been tuning in to Inside Style, and be sure to check out my series, Neighborhood Favorites, which is on WHUT PBS and Roku now. Always remember that real style starts with being comfortable in your own skin. I'm George Worrell. I'll see you next time.